Hi everyone, this is Chris West from the Vermont Home Builders and Remodelers Association, and today we're going to be speaking with David Lalanne, who is a owner of Postech, which is a pile company here in northern Vermont, and he is also a new member. So welcome, David, to the association. Tell me a little bit about you and the company and the services you provide. Um, so that we can get that information out to our members.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate the introduction. So, as Chris said, my name is David, and I'm the owner of a Postech. So, basically, what we do is we sell and install foundation screw piles, which are also called helical piles, right? So, Postech is a bigger company that is present, like in Canada, very heavily present in Canada and in some parts in the U.S. right now. And like I'm starting Postech here in the northern Vermont, well, basically in the Champlain Valley, right, northern Vermont, and I also work in upstate New York. Um, so so as I said, I what we do is we'll go, install screw piles, that are basically a perfect replacement for concrete footings, So typically anywhere you would think of using either a sonotube or one of those precast piers, well, a Postech screw pile can do the job, much in a much simpler way. So, the screw piles that we sell, will save you the digging, will save you the messing around with the concrete. They'll actually won't mess anything up, on your customers' existing, landscaping or lawn, because we install them with such a small equipment that we can come in, on plywood with our little excavator and it won't even show that we were there. There's no trace really, and then you've got a pile that that allows you as a builder, to be ready to build directly right away.
So you're talking about it replacing something like a sonotube or a precast pile. I've also heard that sometimes that some of these have been used for actual foundations for houses.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
something that?
Correct. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought me there, Chris. They can totally. Um, there's a there's a few interesting things to think about there. So the piles, like a basic pile, that I keep in stock at all times, like can some of the ones I have in stock can support up to 27,000 pounds each pile. So when you think about it, you can very easily design a structure as big as a house or a camp that will sit on piles. It makes total sense. Now, um, it can be done like in any normal like soil, right? But it becomes even a bigger advantage when you're dealing with tricky soils, soils or if you have like very tricky access, for concrete. So there's situations where it's almost like since you can't do the concrete, you can't build the house. Like screw piles become like a very obvious choice in cases like that. But yeah, no, you can build structures if you go, and you'll see the link on this video, but if you go on the Postech website, I mean, you can see pictures of projects with complete houses on screw piles.
And something you and I discussed before we had this interview was about ledge.
Yep,
I've had a couple of projects years ago, admittedly, but where
yep,
they were thinking of using piles, but the screw tech piles, but they were unable to use something like a helical pile because they hit ledge. And you said, "Oh no, no, we can work with ledge."
for sure. So very interesting, and most people don't know that, but there's a way. So basically, if we hit ledge, okay, or if we know there is ledge, what we would typically do is we we would use, so we have this special bracket, okay? It's a special bracket that anchor in the rock. Okay, so it's we use chemical anchor like that epoxy rock anchor, and we anchor this bracket in the rock. And the way this bracket is built is it's a receiver for the pile itself. Okay, so in a case like that, we'll just cut off like the blade part of this of the screw pile, right? Because we don't need it. We're not going in the ground, so we'll cut that off to the right length that you need, and we'll slide the pile directly inside that bracket. So what you end up with is really a rock anchor, which is more solid than anything. I mean, we've Postech, not myself, but like colleagues of mine have installed complete houses, on remote islands or God knows what, like directly on ledge. They've installed complete houses on ledge with those brackets.
Cool. So if someone is interested in getting in touch with you to find out more, maybe even say, look, I've been doing conventional foundations and I'm interested in finding out more about Postech, or I've got an application I'd like to check out, what's the way they can get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, you can, the best way is probably to either call me or text me at my phone number. We can put that information with the video for sure. You can email me. So anyway, it's most convenient for the builders. I understand builders are so busy these days. Like I am extremely flexible. So one thing to mention, Chris, before we go is like Postech. One of the key difference with Postech is we cover maybe like smaller territories. I cover a territory north of Burlington. There's a colleague of mine, Postech Burlington, that covers like the Burlington area, the extended area. So we cover maybe smaller territories, but the goal is to really offer like a proximity service, if that makes sense. We want builders to understand that if they need something done next day, typically we'll get it done next day. We want to, and if they have 2 piles to do, then we'll be there to do the 2 piles. There's a key thing there is we're not necessarily covering like 3 different states and booking up 4 weeks in advance, and I think it could be very convenient for builders.
Great. Well, thank you very much for A, becoming a new member, and B, joining us here so we can let our other members know that you're in the association. Again, remember everyone that we recommend that people do business with another member. So here's Dave. He's got a company. If you're looking at using piles or interested in investigating a different way of working with your foundation, get in touch with him and let's see what we can do with him. Thanks so much, Dave, for taking time out of your day to talk with us.
No, I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.